Hello everyone, I'm Kayla Price and this is my first podcast. This time I would like to talk to you about a topic that is starting to become more visible but definitely not enough, and it's mental health. We often think of mental health only as the absence of disorders, emotional problems, or illnesses, but mental health is more than just not being unwell. It is a state of well being in which a person enjoys an integral quality of life that includes emotional, psychological, and social capacities. It is extremely important, it is the foundation of overall well being. From a healthy mind comes successful and complete personal development. It implies that the individual recognizes their own abilities, can cope with daily stress, works productively, and contributes to their community. It directly influences self-esteem, emotional regulation, decision-making, and academic performance. It also impacts social relationships and the economy due to its close link with productivity. Globally, 1 in 7 young people between the ages of 10 and 19 faces a mental disorder. According to surveys, depression and anxiety increased by 25% during the first year of pandemic. According to Wikipedia, from 2014 to 2024, the suicide rate among youth rose by 56%. Among girls aged 10 to 14, the increase was 167%. According to a news outlet in Australia, 69% of people believe that today's youth face more challenges than previous generations. It's not a surprise that some of the factors contributing to the increase in anxiety and depression among youth are undoubtedly the exposure to harmful content and social comparison through media and networks, as they generate addiction and dependence. Excessive use leads to social isolation, difficulties in communicating in person, and feelings of emptiness. Also, using devices before bed alters the sleep cycle, which directly affects mood, memory, learning, and even worse, emotional regulation. That can be extremely dangerous. When emotions such as fear, sadness, or frustrations are not managed, they can build up and turn into emotional disorders, which may lead to self destructive behaviors. So, that's why I would like to share you a history that I experienced recently, and it is about a tragic accident due to poor emotional regulation. It was around 11 when I was studying for a chemistry exam that I had the next day. The subject I struggled with the most because I don't have enough time to fully master each topic. But that night I decided that it's better be happy, and I decided to stop and get a good night's sleep. I was getting ready for bed, washing my face and hands to be precise, when I heard a bang, and I wasn't sure, but it seemed to come from the house next door. I left the bathroom and I saw my mom anxiously walking back and forth. When she saw me, she asked if I heard the same thing. My mom had heard the neighbor. I'm going to invent his name because I don't have to say his real name. I would like her Sarah. And my mom had heard Sarah, the neighbor, screaming and crying as she moved throughout the house, and she feared someone was assaulting them or something like that. To me, the combination of her cry, which expressed deep pain, and that bang made me think that the neighbor, her husband, was attacking her. And considering the growing number of femicides recently in the country, that was the most sound for me. Meanwhile, my dad was already on the phone with the police, describing what we had just heard. In the middle of the call, we heard another heartbreaking scream. It was Sarah again, and that song gave me a sinking feeling in my stomach that paralyzed me with fear and worry. My dad also reported that there was a small child in the house, about 6 years old. He told them the neighbors were always very quiet and peaceful people. It was strange for us that this to be happening because they are very reserved people. It was so strange for us that this be happening. So my dad hung up the call and immediately he and my mom go outside to what was happening. So my parents asked to the neighbors. The man was in the car parking in front of his house, and his wife Sarah was at the window talking to him. My parents asked if everything was okay, and the neighbor agitated replied yes, that everything was fine, and thanked them, asking them to leave it to her. And my parents just ran tearing to the house, and my dad closed the gate. And while we were heading inside, in the span of about 10 seconds, less than 10 seconds, we heard 3 more gunshots, followed by a terrifying crash that scared us even more. And a few seconds later, I remember as the fear subsided a while, I peeked through the gate slats and saw a police officer running with a very large rifle that was smoking. Upon seeing the police, my parents, worried about the neighbor, Sarah, went out to see what was happening, and she explained to my mom that her husband was trying to take his own life, that she had managed to calm him down, but after seeing the police, he panicked. Later we found out many more details, but sadly, it was the police who killed him. And apparently the neighbor that had lost his job 2 months earlier couldn't pay the mortgage, and on top of that, his wife had told him she didn't love him anymore. He used a substance, and due to this situation, started using them much more. It's likely he was under the influence at the time of the incident. And after all this, my parents and I discussed many things about what had happened. My mom was one of the only people in the neighborhood who interacted with him, and she assured us he was very kind, calm, and even quite gentle. He was always playing with his daughter and seemed to have a good relationship with his wife. He had a huge and beautiful house and a very comfortable job, but when all of that started to collapse, he didn't know how to handle it. He didn't ask for help and sought refuge in drugs. That's how mental health plays an extremely important role in life. Later, I asked myself why that man didn't think of his daughter before getting into the situation that ended his life. But I reflected and realized that no matter how many good reasons there are to keep going, if mental well-being is not prioritized, it becomes very difficult to handle everything else. That's why it should be prioritized. You just can't minimize it. Working on good mental health brings deep and lasting benefits in all areas of life: personal, social, academic, professional, and physical. A healthy mind doesn't mean there will be no problems, but that you know how to face them without collapsing in the process. You gain resilience, become able to adapt to change, learn from pain, and grow stronger. You also learn to resolve conflicts, become more empathetic, and listen to others. When you can look after yourself, you can help others. This strengthens your family, friendships, classmates, and romantic relationships. It also improves academic performance because it enhances concentration, decision making, productivity, and creativity. And for me, the best benefit of having good mental health is that it allows you to have good self-esteem. That is confidence in yourself, accepting yourself as you are, and judging yourself less, and a lot of benefits more. It also reduces the risk of mental and physical disorders and improves your lifestyle, since emotionally stable people tend to have better habits such as sleeping better, eating more conscientiously, exercising, and maintaining a balance between study, work, and rest. In summary, mental health is an essential part of overall well-being, as it affects our emotions, decisions, relationships, and daily performance. Statistics reveal a concerning rise in mental disorders among youth, largely driven by social, technological, and emotional challenges that are poorly managed. The story shared illustrates how the absence of support and proper emotional regulation can lead to tragic outcomes. Therefore, it's vital to promote self care, resilience, seeking help on time, and building healthy habits that strengthen self esteem and mental balance in every area of life. I want you to reflect on this topic. I want to encourage you to self examine, be honest, and prioritize your health. Don't put it off, don't minimize it. It has a huge impact on your life, more than you think. Goodbye, and thank you for listening.